And we're live. Good morning, guys. Good morning. How are you guys doing today? I just woke up a couple of minutes ago. Never had such a close call for a live show. Went out last night with a few friends and rolled back home a little late and a little tipsy and ended up sleeping in. So forgive me if I still have that morning voice and perhaps I'm not as sharp as I am usually, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. How are you guys doing today? Am I coming through loud and clear? Hopefully I am. Let me just mute this thing here. All right. Close that. We don't need that. So good morning, everyone. What's happening? What's good, everyone? I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Sunday to everybody. Some of you have also had a long sleepless night, in particular the Gospel of Mark. Hey Mark, how did the gig go last night? You poor guy, you're playing a gig last night and you're up till 4 a.m. and then you got to work this morning on a Sunday, no less. That sucks. How do you do it? How do you manage to get through the day after not sleeping all night? Give me some tricks because I can definitely use that today. I'm in the same scenario. But thank you for joining in regardless. I hope everything goes smoothly during the day for you. Good morning, Jack. I hope everyone is feeling well. Jack says, I'm feeling a little rough around the edges, but nothing major. I'll get through it. Paul's ready to roll today. He says, on your mark, get set, go. Hope you're doing well, Paul. Hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to start off the show like I usually do, welcoming everybody. And if there's any newcomers that join in later on during the event, which often happens, then I want to welcome everyone and just let them know that Addicted to Gear is all about gear chat, gear news, gear information, guitars. So if you're afflicted with gear addiction like we all are, then definitely you're on the right channel. We obviously have live chats every Sunday where we take questions from our viewers and basically make sure that everyone has an opportunity to comment on some of the past videos and talk about what they're looking at in terms of gear or maybe new guitars that they've acquired and stuff like that. Today on the show, I'm just playing this Telecaster. You guys probably recognize it. This is the purple one that I put together. I've been giving it some love today, playing it through some clean. Nice clean sound out of this guitar. This is the one I built not long ago. This is sort of my version of the Danish peat purple Telecaster that I put together. You guys probably have seen it if you're on my channel regularly. Good morning, Wayne. And Wayne says he's never thought he'd be so happy to wake up to rain and cool temperature in British Columbia. Yeah, it's been a rough period for people over there and in general across Canada. I mean, for those of you that are not Canadian, you probably won't relate to this, but it's been really hot and hazy and there's been a lot of wildfires happening, which cause a lot of mugginess. And, you know, you look at the sunset at night and it's a weird, eerie glow. It's something else, something I'm not used to seeing. So I guess hopefully this will all disperse now that we're expecting about a week's worth of rain all at once. So we'll see what happens with that. Richard says he just was watching MAB talk about pinch harmonics. That's actually a pretty good tool to have in your arsenal. I don't know if I could actually do any pinch harmonics with the clean. I like Billy Gibbons, maybe. I think I need a little bit more volume to get it, but definitely a whole lot of fun when you're playing with gain. I think, are you guys hearing? Yeah, you're probably hearing the. I'm just gonna lower this here. You're probably hearing the noises every time somebody makes a comment, which is a little irritating here. So let's go down the list. First of all, guys, before I continue down the list, obviously today I want you guys to talk as much as I do, because normally I do all the jaw flapping. Today I wanted to talk, let you guys take the floor and just drive the show, and you guys determine what you want to talk about today, because there's a lot of opportunity to talk about gear. And if things are quiet, I'll jump in, but I'd like you guys to ask your questions and to let us know what you're into and what you've been looking at in terms of gear. If you've acquired anything new, let us know. Hey, Paul says, best show in the planet, and I subscribe to 256 others. Thanks, Paul. Really nice of you to say that. I really appreciate that. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to check out some of my past videos, yesterday I had like a really rough time uploading this video. It's kind of like it was kind of cursed. I made a video called how to properly shield your guitar, because I was actually working on my other Telecaster, and one of the processes that I do normally whenever I buy a guitar body that is not necessarily something that I get from Fender or something like that, they usually come raw. They don't have any kind of shielding paint, any kind of shielding done in the cavities. So I figured I'd be doing that anyways. Why not show people how I do it? And I made a video which is quite long. It's probably over 20 minutes for sure. But I just take you onto my messy workbench and throw up a few cameras and show you how I do it with some. I use shielding tape, copper shielding tape, but you can use shielding paint and other things. There's different ways of doing it, but it's very important to make sure your guitars are shielded, because if not, you're going to be dealing with a lot of 60 cycle hum, especially if you're dealing with a Telecaster or Stratocaster or anything that has single coil pickups. As a matter of fact, this guitar has not had the shielding process yet. And if right now, I don't know if you can, let's see if it actually, it's actually pretty quiet, but that's also because I have a noise suppressor on, so you won't hear it. But it hums. Sometimes even when you have your cell phone in your pocket, you might be getting some interference from your cell phone. So it's a good thing to do. And if you guys are interested in checking out how to do it, specifically if you're having noise issues with any of your guitars, just check out the last video that I posted. So I actually had to post it. I posted it 3 times. The first time I posted it, I actually grabbed the wrong file. It was like a blooper clip, which I posted before actually looking at it. So that was kind of embarrassing. But anyways, so that one came down. Then I uploaded another version, and I noticed that somewhere within the actual video, there was some clips that lost audio. So I had to like re-render the file again, upload it again. I mean, the whole process, I lost probably about 2 hours just trying to get that thing uploaded yesterday. So it was definitely like Gremlin City. But I finally got it up there, and hopefully you guys will appreciate that if you're interested in it. I'm thinking about possibly doing some more my messy workbench videos when I'm working on my guitars, because I often get people asking me to show them how to do certain things. As a matter of fact, somebody asked me to show them how to properly cut slot a nut. So if ever I'm building another guitar, which I am doing now, actually, that's probably something I will throw up there and just mix up with some other videos that I've done. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned for that. Let's see here. So, okay, where was I? So, So Alan is here, Randy's here. Good morning, Randy. Paul is here, as we said hi to Paul already. Gospel of Mark, we said he's having a rough time, probably on his, he says 2 cups of coffee today. Should have had 3. You could follow that with a Red Bull or something, Mark. That'll pep you right up. Jack says the only new gear that he got this week was a new distortion pedal, a Proco Rat distortion pedal. That's quite a coincidence, Jack. I had somebody offer me a Proco Rat in exchange for another pedal that I had posted. How do you like the Proco Rat? Because the videos that I've seen on the Rats, they didn't entice me to get it. And maybe it's just because, you know, they're not recorded properly. Give me your opinion on it. Is it something I should check out a little closer? I know a lot of people like it because it's a kind of a vintage version, vintage distortion version. But I have so many dirt boxes right now that I feel that I don't really need another one. But and I know that the Proco Rats, they had like the original version, and then they had like the reissues or the ones that came later. So which one do you have? So Cohen is here. Good morning, Cohen. Seth, good morning to you, buddy. Paul says fat philosophers out buying more guitars. Quicksilver says good morning from Prague. And Christian says news from Germany. German cartel office demands a fine of 21 million euros from Thomann, Fender, Yamaha, and Roland because of illegal price arrangements. Wow, that's a lot of dough, man. So what, they're all in cahoots? That kind of explains why the prices are going up across the board? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but how did they actually, how do they prove something like that? Interesting. To follow, where did you actually see that? I guess it's posted on the internet somewhere. Would like to read more on that. Interesting. Mark says he hasn't bought any new gear, but he's gassing for an electric with a Piezo for my acoustic gigs. Yeah, that you could always install it yourself, Mark, instead of having to buy one where it's already installed. You can probably install it yourself. That's a nice option to have when you're playing a lot of acoustic songs in the set. Interesting. I don't play as much acoustic as I should. I should start playing more. I'm kind of in a mellow mood today, probably because I didn't sleep. So I'm going to be probably playing just little weird chords and stuff. Sort of a jazz, an easy jazz listening session today. Hey Ed, nice to see you, buddy. Danai's here too. Good morning. So tell me, guys, what are you guys looking at, man? What's going on? Give me some news. Some of you say that you've actually played out live. So Seth says, finally played out live. Really great to be back on stage. Awesome. What kind of a gig was that, Seth? Was it a big crowd, a small crowd, a backyard barbecue? What was that? I think anything is good. Anything is good. I actually played with my bandmates for the first time in so long, just recently. And it was a great session. I really had a great time just playing again, even though we were all very, very rusty. We're scheduled to play again soon. I think we're going to all enjoy the second gig. We'll probably be a little bit more prepared for that one. But I'm having a lot of fun playing live. I've been bringing my amp to the gigs. Usually I play through one of their... They usually have one of these solid state kind of units that they have people use. I'm not really a big fan of that, so I decided to quit that and just bring my amp. I'm gonna do the same. I brought my Marshall the last time, and it was nice to hear the Marshall in a live setting like that, a little bit more cranked. But next time I'm bringing the Black Star. I've been giving the Black Star a lot of love this week, and I realize like how much of a great amplifier that is, especially since I've been comparing other amps that I have to the Princeton. That's right there behind me. Princeton is a fantastic amplifier, but you realize that when you compare side by side, you realize which amps have shortcomings, which ones are actually a little bit more flexible, which ones actually work better in the context of the music that you play. I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a little while, but just get back to your comments here. Cool Tunes, good morning. Let's see here. Larry says, and he's making a comment to the Gospel of Mark, I was at the Melting Pot in Townsend last night, didn't get home till past midnight. So I'm not the only one who's short on sleep today. Jeff is here today. Good morning, Jeff. Alan says the Purple Telecaster sounds great, played clean. Yeah, I don't play clean nearly enough. It's great to be able to play clean because you can't really hide behind your mistakes. You can't really hide behind that wall of drive. So it humbles you very quickly. BC Rich 581, good morning. Fat Philosopher says he's here now. We can begin. Hey Fat, how's it going, buddy? I'm sure you got some news to tell us about some new guitars that you've picked up. So I'll circle back to you in a minute. So Mark, the gigs that you played there, is that like free gigs? Are you getting paid for these gigs? Is this like a side hustle you have going on since you do have a full-time job? What's the story with that? I'm just curious. Fat Philosopher says he went overboard this week. Tell us about it, Fat. This week. Fat Philosopher's always going overboard. So he bought 4 guitars, 2 lefties and 2 righties. So give us the rundown, Fat Philosopher. Which ones are for flipping? Which ones are for keeping? Which ones impressed you? And which ones were underwhelming? Give us the rundown. Dan of New Jersey, good morning, buddy. So we have a nice group of people here already, which is great. Mark is asking me if I've ever owned or gigged with an electric with a piezo that gives a convincing and usable acoustic sound for acoustic gigs. Honestly, Mark, anytime you're playing acoustic, I've played acoustic guitars with piezos in the past. They never sound right. It's always a compromise. I feel they always sound like the strings are made of rubber bands. I haven't found one yet that I can say gives a good representation of an acoustic without making the sound all of a sudden become round and not as bright. If I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but I find that the best option for an acoustic is just miking it, which is not always possible in a live situation. But they do have some really cool systems now for acoustic guitars, which is they actually use a microphone, but you put it in the sound hole, and there's actually a microphone within the guitar, almost like a lapel microphone, and then you cover the hole with like a rubber cap so that you don't get feedback. Those are probably the better ones that I've seen and tried. So my recommendation, if you can try one of those, it might work for you. They're not inexpensive, but to me, they're the ones that sound closest to a real guitar. Seth wants to know, let's talk setups. What are your top 3 needs from a great setup? Probably more than 3, Seth, but for me, obviously, it's all around the neck, right? So I think the neck has to be comfortable. The strings have to be the right height off of the fretboard for me. That's probably the thing that's the most uncomfortable when there's a guitar that's not properly set up. I'm a very, very picky about intonation. If the guitar is not properly set up for intonation, that's really drives me batty. Nothing's worse than plucking your the E is in tune and you pluck the A and it's sharp or flat. Drives me crazy, drives me batty. Just having proper relief on the neck and having no fret outs when you're bending up here. Sometimes you have fret outs. It's all about the neck, in my opinion. I mean, everything else is easy to fix, but the neck for sure, key to me. I don't know what the others think, but that's my list. If you guys want to pipe in on that question, let me know. So Fat Philosopher bought only 2 Gibsons. I don't know what's going on with him. He's like slowing down. So Anna Tokai and an ESP-V. And I think the Tokai Fat Philosopher, if it's the one that you showed me on the photos, I believe it was a Korean Tokai. And even the Korean Tokais, they're great instruments for the money. So how are you enjoying all of those? So Alan says, and this goes out to Mark, try a Parker Fly if you can find one for a sensible price. The Parker Fly guitars are not for everyone, Alan. I mean, a lot of people don't like the way they're shaped. Yeah, they definitely have a very unique shape to them, and they're very, very expensive. But I know a lot of people like them because they do play great and sound good. Fat Philosopher says low action on the upper frets and good intonation. That's his list, definitely. And Jeff says, I got myself an attenuator this week, an Audio Storm Hotbox 125i. Fantastic. So Jeff, what amp are you pairing that attenuator with? I'm sure you probably have some fire-breathing monster at home. Let me know how you're using it. Are you using it in a live situation? Are you using that at home for recording? What's the scenario there? Keith says, you're right, working on guitars can be very relaxing. I could watch you work on guitars for hours. Well, good. I'm glad you're enjoying that. I know that for me, it's a huge stress reliever. You know, I go into my little part of my world. Sometimes I put on some other YouTube channels on my phone and I just listen to that in the background while I'm working on my guitars. It's my happy place, guys. Everything else, all the other problems, scenarios, and stresses just float away. I wish, I can do that all day long. That would be my ideal job, just being able to work on guitars all day long. And I'd love it. It'd be honestly a dream come true. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay well. Paul says, I was in a band in Vancouver, Canada in '69. I was not even born. I was just a thought there. Well, actually, I was born in '69, but I was still playing with my my little cars or something. And a bass player showed me pinched harmonics. I developed a style then where I barely have my pick past my thumb so I can pinch every note, hit at any tempo. It's a great tool, honestly. And if you guys don't know how to do that, you should definitely watch a couple of videos. It's all about, plucking the note and stopping it with your thumb. Not that hard to do, but guitarists like Billy Gibbons and a lot of other guitarists really squeeze a lot of pinch harmonics out of the notes, and it's great to have in your toolbox, as I mentioned. So Fat Philosopher says he got a Gibson RG. RG. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. JR. Telling you, man, I'm working on no sleep last night. So a Junior 2015 with Robo Tuners. So give us the real rundown, Fat Philosopher. How good or bad are those Robo Tuners? Are you actually thinking they're not so bad, or what's the story? Or is what everybody has said over the years about them true? Fret ends, dressed properly, 2, intonation, and 3, nut and action. Yeah, I think, Owen, those are probably the top 3, right? fret ends. Also, I'm gonna say the relief, relief on the nut, because on the neck, because if the relief is not right, everything else goes out the window. So relief is super important. Larry says, no buzzing, proper intonation, and that nice slinky string tension feel. I think you get more of the slinky string tension on a Strat or an Ibanez or something like that. Not so much on a shorter scale guitar like a Gibson. Seth says, comfortable low action number 1, accurate intonation number 2, polished frets, and oil treated clean board number 3. I think it's all of them, man. All of the above. It's hard to limit it to just 3, my opinion. So Rico's here from Arizona. Good morning, Rico. Randy says, I think NuX has a new preamp pedal. Cost is around $200. I think. Anyone know anything? I thought I heard something about something like that, but I haven't actually seen too much. As I said in my previous shows, I think a lot of these companies, including NuX, they're having a hard time furnishing the products. They're just back ordered, or not having enough luck with suppliers yet. So they're launching new stuff, but you can't really get your hands on them. I've been trying to get my hands on the MG30 for the longest time. Haven't been able to get it, and I'm really curious to see how that one works compared to the MG300 that I have. I haven't had any luck nailing one down. It's just one of those things. So it's unfortunate, because I think they're releasing stuff, and at the same time they're missing the boat, because people kind of, they want it, but it's just taking so long to get it that they kind of just opt for something else. So maybe they're missing a lot of sales because of that. Jack says, the one I have, it just says Rat on it. It's not a bad pedal for what I use it for. I played country, southern rock, blues, and occasionally heavy metal. It's not too bad. So I guess I think the original one had the little light in the middle of the A. I think that's how you identify the original ones as opposed to the reissues. Not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me. Maybe someone else who's had one in the past could pipe in on that one. Keith says, love the strings low, not a hint of buzzing, and feels great when intonation is spot on. Otherwise, just drives you crazy. Yeah, absolutely, man. I've been taking a lot of care of my 335 lately. I've taken it out more often. I'm actually playing it a heck of a lot more. That thing just, when you're playing it through like a nice cranked amp, it just resonates so well. It feeds back too. You got to be careful with that. But it's almost like it's a balancing act with a volume knob. If you can get it just on the verge of feedback, you feel the entire guitar resonating. It's beautiful. It really just plays so nicely. And as I mentioned earlier, I was just looking at the Princeton, which is behind me on this side here, just there, and just evaluating whether or not it's an amplifier that I would like to own. This one is not mine. It's actually on loan, so I've been playing it. I'm going to be making a video on that too. That's going to be out soon. But it's a great amplifier, don't get me wrong. Princetons sound great. I was actually super surprised how much bottom end you get out of a 10-inch speaker, because that one has a 10-inch speaker in it. So I could only imagine the models that they have that have a 12-inch speaker in them. Even more bottom end for sure. But my big question was whether or not that amp could hang in a scenario where you're playing it with maybe some other musicians in a band setting, and how well it handles gain. Because often these smaller Princeton amps, when you crank them beyond a certain volume, I think the sweet spot with the Princeton, from what I've seen, is about between 4 and let's say 6, somewhere within there. If you go beyond that, it tends to get flubby. It tends to like fart out a little bit. It just can't handle it. But if you're in the sweet spot and you use a nice drive pedal in front of it, you can actually get some very usable tones out of it. I'm not going to say metal, but definitely classic rock tones. The thing is, it doesn't have an effects loop, which I thought would be a disadvantage. But in actual fact, it's not really a disadvantage at all because it takes pedals so well in the front of the amplifier so that, you don't, it's not a deal breaker as I thought it might be. And of course, the reverb's very, very lush, maybe even too lush. I find myself dialing it back to, just maybe one and a half max. But my question and what I really wanted to see was whether or not it would be more flexible and better sounding than my Blackstar. And honestly, after playing them side by side and just evaluating it, there's a lot of good things about the Princeton. It makes a very nice, clean platform. Like the Princeton, to me, would be a fantastic amplifier to replace my Supersonic, my Supersonic 22. The reason for that is because the Supersonic is a big amp. It's heavy. It's probably overkill for home use. And to be honest with you, I don't usually play the onboard drive channel on the Supersonic all that much because honestly, it sounds better getting the dirt sounds through the clean channel with dirt pedals. So for me, it's kind of overkill. So if I would sell the Supersonic, I would probably opt for a Princeton just to be able to have that Fender clean sound, which my other amps currently don't give me. They're more Marshall-based amps. So if you want a nice, clean foundation, then the Princeton would be a great amplifier for that. That being said, however, I have to say, in my opinion, the Blackstar is an overall more flexible amplifier. It's a grab-and-go combo, in my opinion. It's got 2 channels, clean, dirty. Clean channel is not as lush as the Princeton, but you throw a bit of, a little delay on there, a little bit of reverb, and it does the clean respectfully well. It's maybe a little bit more stiff sounding, whereas the Princeton is a little rounder, more mushy sounding when it comes to the clean. But the Blackstar has 2 channels, has like a voice switch that you can hit when you're doing any solos. It's got a great drive sound to it, a lot of bottom end. You don't even need a drive pedal with a Blackstar, and you're able to go out directly with the USB from the Blackstar into your recording interface to be able to get that sound without necessarily having to mic the cabinet. So for me, and it's less expensive than the Princeton as well. So for me, for the stuff that I play and the fact that I do need a good drive, I think the Blackstar does it for me. I'm happy with that amplifier. So that's my quick review, but I'll do an in-depth review of all of that on the video. Sure. Rico says, can I give you a quick rundown of my Purple Telecaster? Yeah, absolutely, Rico. If you've not... I've spoken about this before on my other videos, and I do have a full review. So if you really want to get an in-depth review on the Purple Telecaster, Rico, just check out my video on that. But I'll give you the highlights. So this is a guitar that I built myself. I basically ordered a guitar body that was unfinished. The guitar body on this guitar is 100-year-old reclaimed pine. So it's a lighter guitar, not as heavy as some of the other ones that I've put together. And the butterscotch one that I'm working on is really heavy. But this one is relatively light. I painted it myself. I got the paints through Great Lake Custom Color as well as Oxford Supplies. and I just painted the purple. They actually mixed this purple for me. They didn't have it in their lineup, and you can get this at Oxford if you're interested. It's called Royal Purple. Painted the guitar. Took a little while for it to paint and cure because it's a nitro. Then the pickups in this guitar are from Peg City. A great set of pickups, very punchy sounding pickups. Sounds very good. I'm very happy with the pickups on this guitar. And then the electronics came from Gun Street, and I opted for a 4-way wiring circuit, which allows me to do the usual bridge, neck, and then there's the fourth. So there's bridge, neck, and then neck and bridge out of phase, which I don't use all that much, but it's there. And then it also has a the regular volume here, but the volume is a switch. That's for the out of phase. And then I also got this really nice cover where I have the switch at an angle, which I really like. Gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of the being able to grab the switch there quickly. Everything else is pretty much standard. Maple neck. These are I threw locking tuners on this one just because I like the mass. Not really, the locking tuners are fine. I mean, they allow you to change strings quicker, but I like the locking tuners just because I feel it gives the neck more the headstock more mass. And it does something to the sound overall, I think. So that's basically it. I don't know if you have any other questions, let me know. Excuse me. So I'm jumping around on the comments, guys. Let's see what I missed here. Larry says, Tony, what's your opinion? Do all production guitars need a fret level and crown, or are they good to go as is? Well, Larry, that's a great question. I feel that not all of them are good to go. As a matter of fact, a lot of them aren't good to go. Depends on where you're buying your guitars from. Like the stuff that you get from Thomann, Harley Benton, it's hit and miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Typically, the larger companies like the Gibsons and the Fenders and the PRSs, I've rarely come across a PRS guitar that needed fretwork done. As far as Fenders go, usually they're pretty good. I think what usually happens with Fender is not necessarily the neck or frets. It's more just the setup. For whatever reason, it goes wonky while it's in the store. And sometimes it goes out the door where it's not actually set up properly. But yeah, there's a lot of guitars that do need fretwork. And if you're buying like a neck to build your own guitar with, most of the time when you're buying from, Warmith or All Parts or some other brand, those necks also need some work as well. So be ready for that. That's a nice story, Keith. Keith says, my kid's friend was always coming over and asking to play my acoustic, so I gave it to him. He moved away. 2 years later, he shows up, ran in, and actually gave me a hug, thanking me. That's awesome, dude. That's great. You planted the seed, man. You planted the seed, and this guy's going to have that the love of playing music for the rest of his life, probably, because of you, man. That's awesome. Definitely encourage the up-and-comers. Throw a guitar their way, you're going to change their life, I'm telling you. Tokai 70s vintage bass clones actually play a lot better than several pre-CBS basses that I played. I'm not surprised that you say that, BC Rich. The Tokai stuff, as I always say, and I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, the Japan versions are great. Seth says, come work with us, Tony. Hey, man, I'd pick up and join you in a minute if I was in your neck of the woods, man. I'm getting to the point of my life where I'm tired of the rat race, and although I know working on guitars is a lot of work, for me it's a passion of love. You know, I'd do it even if I wouldn't get paid for it. You know, maybe I shouldn't be saying this in case anybody wants to hire me out there. But if anybody in the Montreal area, in the Quebec area, is looking for somebody to do guitar work, I'm up for it, man. Give me a call. Cohen says, I just sent you a few mails with pictures of my latest build. Cohen also loves to build guitars and is very good at it. I put together guitars. Cohen actually builds them out of like shelves and stuff. He's amazing. I'm not that much of a woodworker to say that I have the skills to, you know, take a piece of wood and build the body and build it from scratch. I don't feel that confident. But as far as the assembly and customization or tweaking, I feel that I have a good grasp of that. Quicksilver says, my Tokai Love Rock, I want to like it and love it, and for some reason I just can't bond with it. I'm going to install Gibson Burstbucker Pro pickups and be its last try. Quicksilver, okay, first of all, let's give Quicksilver some 911 help here. First of all, Quicksilver, this is what? Is this a Japanese Tokai or is it a Korean Tokai? Or do you even know? Sometimes people just don't know because it's hard to tell. But which one is it? And you don't like it because of the pickups or you don't like it because of the feel? In my opinion, honestly, I'm not a big fan of burst. I shouldn't be telling you this. Maybe I'm discouraging you even more on this, but I'm not a fan of Burstbucker pickups at all. I took them out of my Gibsons and sold them. A lot of people like them, so I'm not gonna knock it. Maybe they're good for you, but I don't like it. I don't like them. There's definitely other pickups that will make that guitar shine if it's just a pickup issue. So BC Rich says Tokai is a little better a line of instrument than Wolf's AIO series. Let me just comment on that, BC Rich. I think the Korean ones are. I think the Japanese ones are quite a bit above what you're getting with an AIO guitar. So Seth says, my latest build is up for sale on Reverb. Fender slab neck, no skunk stripe, heel truss rod, Palfero fretboard waxed and buffed, looks amazing. Two-tone vintage burst, hardtail, plecked, setup, and hard shell case. So Seth, do you want to give us more or less the asking price on that? Maybe you might have a taker here for that one. Let us know, buddy. So Fat Philosopher says that he likes his Tokai a little better than my AIO Wolf. Neck feels better. And I believe Fat Philosopher's Tokai is the Korean one. There's a big difference between the Korean versions of the Tokais and the Japanese version. Definitely. So John wants to know more about my band. What music do you play? What sort of gigs are you doing? So we're basically a bunch of old timers, as you can tell from me. We play a wide variety of stuff. I went through my set list. Somebody had asked me a similar question on the last live show, and I actually mentioned a whole bunch of songs in that one. So there's our set list is over 100 songs for sure. We play a little bit of everything. We play everything. Mostly, I'm going to say the bigger percentage is more like classic rock driven. We'll play anything, honestly. Anything that somebody wants to play in our band. We make the suggestion. If we can get through it and not sound so horrible, we put it on the list and we work at it. And we, when we get tired of it, we don't play it anymore. It's as simple as that. We play everything. Bad Company, Stones, Rod Stewart. We play some Zeppelin. We play, what else? We play some Beatles, some U2, Van Morrison. What else do we play? Deep Purple. We're actually trying to nail down, we're trying to get a keyboard player. And I've been trying to get a keyboard player. I'm sort of like the leader in this thing because I put it together probably about 10 years ago. And there's been a few lineup changes over the years, but the incarnation of the band that we have now is, it's pretty stable. Nobody's left the band, and we've been enjoying playing together. But I can't get a keyboard player. I don't know what it is. What do I need to do to bribe a keyboard player? I think having keyboards in a band will generate more of a foundation, a backing foundation, and will enable the guitarists to be able to be a little bit more free and improvise a little bit more. So I'm looking for that. I would love to get a keyboard player. I've been posting ads, no takers. I don't know what it is with keyboard players, man. They're either all playing in restaurant gigs where they're getting free food, or they're not interested in lugging around their keyboard. If you guys know anyone in the area that would be able to join in on the fun, let me know. It's just very, very difficult. I don't know what to do. I have to up my offer on the ads or something. Maybe it's because it's not a paying gig. People are just not interested in in just playing if they're not getting paid just for fun. Anyways, it is what it is. Phil Fat Philosopher says those robo tuners are kind of neat. Freaks you out when they start turning, though. Yeah, probably scares the cat. Hey Henry, how you doing, buddy? Henry hasn't been here in a while. Hope you're going to be a regular on our Sunday shows from now on, Henry. We missed you, buddy. Seth says RoboTuners are awesome as soon as you understand and can work them easily. Anything that helps keep the guitar tuned properly is always a good thing. It's just, I feel that a lot of musicians, especially guitarists, are set in their ways. They don't necessarily like new technology. They tend to like the old stuff more. They're not that open to change. Mark EFX, good morning, buddy. Gospel of Mark says every PRS I've had, the frets were perfect. Gibson and Fenders, I've had to get some work done. Yeah, I agree. Same experience here, Mark. That's one thing about PRS, is especially the American-made ones. The quality control is great. I think Paul shoots somebody if they accidentally make a guitar leave the factory with something that is not perfect on it or something. So they're usually very good. Richard says the MG30 is twice the price of the MG300. Who will win? Well, from what I understand, the MG30 has exactly the same sounds as the MG300. And if that's the case, that's kind of a bummer. If it doesn't have more flexibility, maybe more patches or more user-friendly options on it, I think the big advantage is the way it's constructed, since it is built of metal and looks a little bit better in terms of quality, but also has more outputs, and that was the big Achilles heel on the MG300. But the sounds are great. I love the sounds on them. Quicksilver says, is there such a thing as a shallow neck angle on a Les Paul style guitar, such as the pickup ring being as tall as the fretboard itself or a couple of millimeters taller? That to me sounds like it's a neck angle problem. That means that when they actually put the neck in, they didn't glue it in the right angle. So yeah, there is such a thing. Which is not a good problem to have. Is that something that you're experiencing on one of your guitars, Quicksilver? Jeff says using attenuator with a Sir Ombre amp live and at home. Tried a Frayette PS sound, good, impractical for live use. Ordered a Palmer, didn't show up. Audio Storm built me one Saturday morning and I collected it. So that's super nice. So the Ombre, that is the combo, right? They have a little combo unit. How do you like that amp? I'm just curious. I know the Sir stuff is super expensive, so if you went for the Ombre, you must be totally sold on it. So what amp did that amp replace in your arsenal, and why did you choose to go with that one specifically, Jeff? If you don't mind filling us in. Strobe tuners and the way to get very accurate intonation. Yeah, strobe tuners. If you're doing intonation work, the strobe tuners are way easier to use because you actually have finer control. I'm actually using the Strobo Tune app from Peterson on my phone, which actually works very well, and I have it in my pocket everywhere I go. I bought it. I think it's still available. I think it was like $10 or something like that. But I use that when I work on my guitars because it's really accurate. Larry says, I'm an idiot. I can't use the strobe tuner. Too much stuff spinning around. Yeah, the strobe tuner is a little bit tricky because it never actually stays still unless you're dead on, which is super rare because they're very sensitive. So they're always moving. But you just have to get in the ballpark. But they're very accurate. All right, I'm going to jump to the last comments here because I'm still way behind. If I miss anything, I'll try and scroll back up. I just installed a Illuminati bass neck with a graphite fingerboard on a custom bass of mine. I'd love to see if a synthetic neck is planed to a much smoother radius than a wooden neck. I love to see if a synthetic neck is planed to a much smoother radius. I don't know with can you even do that with a graphite neck? I don't know what the limitations are when it comes to working with graphite as a neck material. I haven't had any graphite necks on any of my guitars so far. I wonder, they're probably much more stable. They probably don't go out of whack with the humidity and stuff like that. Would be something I'd like to try eventually. Make one of your kids play keyboards. I would if they would actually play keyboards. I've been trying to get them to play. I have keyboards in the house. I have some keyboards right here. They're out of the shot. You can't see it, but I have a nice keyboard right here. I would actually love to learn how to play keyboard myself. I think it's a great instrument, especially for composing. Nothing beats being able to compose on a keyboard. Who knows? Maybe that's something I'll do when I retire. Learn how to play the piano. BC Rich says he knew a player that had mild epilepsy and he had no ability to use a strobo tuner. So would the strobo tuner give him make him go into an epileptic fit? I know a lot of people that they do have epilepsy. Any kind of like rapid eye movement sometimes triggers that. That would be a bummer. Quicksilver says I wouldn't go too crazy with the Tokai stuff anymore. Prices are climbing up to the point of them being just 500 euros under the price of a Gibson Standard, and the quality is not what it used to be. I can't really speak about the quality of the new versions of the Tokais, but the old ones are great. Yeah, I think the price scenario you mentioned is absolutely dead on. The cat's out of the bag. People know the quality now of the Tokai stuff, so they're sought after guitars, and the prices have been steadily going up. You don't get the deals anymore. But if you can somehow get a used one, maybe locally, Reverb, eBay, typically the prices are, they're not really deals unless you're looking at a Korean made one. Um, so yeah, I agree with you on that one. But I think if you get lucky enough to land one, an older one, grab it because they're awesome. My opinion on that one. Okay, so Seth said the scan will show the neck and reveal any bumps and lumps. So I guess you're talking about, so can you actually, so even though it's a graphite neck, you can, it'll work the same way because you're still just scanning the imperfections and being able to compensate the frets to iron those things out, right? So whether or not the neck is made out of graphite or wood doesn't make a difference in terms of plecking. All right, Quicksilver. So you say your Tokai Love Rock is Japanese, and he thinks he's going to end up selling it and use the money to get a Gibson. Well, Quicksilver, let me know what kind of money you're looking for the Tokai and what kind it is. Maybe we can work out a deal. I'm always looking for more Tokais. If you really don't like it, let me know. Jeff says, I was using a Victory Sheriff 22 before the Ombre, which is also a very cool amplifier. I was actually looking at that for a while myself. I picked the Ombre for its simple volume and tone configuration, and the trem is something else. Instant CCR. So is the Ombre a little bit more punchy? Does it have a little bit more output gain, or is it just really a clean amplifier? To me, I always, from what I've seen, it's sort of, it's like a Princeton, from what I can gather. Is that, am I off in thinking that? Jeff, let me know. Just curious. Have I tried the Boss Pocket GT? If you have access to one, I'd like to see you demo it. I'd love to demo it. I don't have one. But if I can get my hands on one, I will definitely demo that. I'd love to. Paul says, Tony, the Peterson Strobo Stomp does not have the spinning problem. It makes a TC Electronics look like a spinning top. So I guess Peterson sort of like made it a little bit less jumpy. I don't use on the TC Electronics. I don't usually use the strobe feature on it. I don't like the way TC has visualized the strobe function. I usually go with the needle on my TC electronic pedal. And mostly I use the TC electronic pedal because it has an onboard buffer in it. That's really about it. But and it's not that expensive either. Would it be dumb to put all electrics, bridges, tuners from a Mexican Deluxe on a Squire? I have. That's great, but I would have to add a battery box. Think things would line up without so much trouble. Yeah, I think it would. I mean, technically, when you say all the electronics, I mean, typically you can easily swap out what you have in the electronics aspect of the guitar and put it into from a Mexican guitar and put it into a Squire. It should line up. If you have when you say electrics, do you mean it's like your pickups are active pickups? Is that why you're asking about the battery? If you do have active pickups, you probably would have to chisel out some place to put the battery. which is doable, but not as easy as, like, it's not a direct drop in. Henry says, buy Tokai in France at JM Music. Even with shipping, it's cheaper. I guess because they're in Europe. It's easier to get Tokai guitars, especially the ones that are made in Japan, in Europe for some reason. They don't always make it over across the pond unless somebody buys them from Europe and gets them shipped in. Quicksilver says, at the end of the day, when you factor the lack of availability on Tokai guitars in Europe, despite the various European distributors, only to save a few €100. You know, I agree. It was a better deal when the prices were lower. Although, I have 2 Gibson Les Pauls and I play my Tokai more than my Les Pauls. But the Tokai I have is an older one. If you really want a Gibson, yeah, that's an option. Go get a Gibson for sure. You know. But honestly, for me, I like the Tokai better than the 2 Gibsons that I have. The 2 Gibsons I have are not as old. Maybe the older Gibsons would have been better compared to the Tokai, but right now the Tokai beats the pants off of the Gibsons that I have. Hey, thanks, Jack. Thanks for reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. I appreciate that, man. Quicksilver says, I would bring it personally to Canada, but it's a lefty. Ah, shoot. So if it's a lefty, sell it to Fat Philosopher. Would the Squire tuning holes be big enough? Good question. They're not always the same, but it's easy to make them larger. Just get a little reamer. And you can easily just make them slightly bigger. Just drill them out. Just go slow and, don't be too aggressive with your drill. Use a drill press if you can to keep things aligned vertically and not make a mess of things. Yeah, that's what I said, Fat Philosopher. Quicksilver will send it to you, man. Work it out with him. I'm sure you guys will work out a deal. There's always a taker in the bunch, right? So I'm so patiently waiting for my neck to arrive that I ordered for my other build that I'm building. It's a Telecaster Butterscotch. I showed you guys that build during the Messy Workbench shielding video. I'm trying to get that guitar finished. Everything's done on the guitar. I mean, there's nothing left except for the neck. I even got the tuners on. I got the tuners that I want to put on there. It's pretty much going to be ready to go once the neck arrives. So I'm just anxiously waiting for the neck because I want to hear what it sounds like. Plus, I have a great set of Gatekeeper pickups in this body, which are more affordable line of pickups that are offered from Porter Pickups. And I'm actually dying to try these pickups because if they're good, they're really inexpensive, and I might pick up a few more for other builds, but I can't do anything yet until the freaking neck arrives, and it's still not. It's just really slow. I think I'm going to be getting it at the end of this month, the way things are shaping up to be, and that's the worst. I hate when sellers choose the most inexpensive shipping method, and it's just arrives by dog sled, and it's really, really slow. So I don't know. Hey Keith, thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate it. Keith says, thanks Tony, you draw a great crowd of nice people, makes for nice mornings, and asking people to speak up careful what you wish for. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, you know what? I'm super happy with the crowd that I've gathered here as well. All you guys are really, really great. I'd give you a thumbs up if I could, because you guys are really into it, man. You're not fakers. You're not like posers. You're here religiously. You're into the gear. I can tell you guys are buying stuff and really into the stuff that you're playing, and it's wonderful to see that. And it's wonderful to have you guys join me on Sundays like this. It really no matter how rough my week is, no matter how rough the night before was, I always look forward to the Sunday chats because of you guys. You know, it's really that simple. So I appreciate that, Keith. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. Quicksilver wants to know, what patches are you using on that MG300? I have the MG30, but I also like the sounds you get out of that MG300. Well, I'm constantly tweaking this one, and they're not all great. This is just a clean... I tend to dial back a lot of the sounds on the unit. The ones that come pre-programmed always seem to be very over the top and very aggressive. And specifically for the live show, if I switch over to something else, it's like, this is like, it's called Jazz in My Pants, which is not one of my best. The Titan Uber is very... I'm trying to get more clean sounds. Like this one is really not. It's a dirty patch. So this one's an AC15. And I think my guitar's even out of tune. So forgive me about. I didn't even bother tuning it this morning. But I find that you're able to get some really decent clean sounds out of this unit that are actually believable, as opposed to some of the other multi-effect units that I had in the past. That's what I really like about it. Tweakability is nice, and it's inexpensive. This one is really cheap. So, you know, if the other one is a lot more expensive, I'm happy with this one. I just wish they would have put more outputs so that it's more flexible if you want to use it in a live situation. But I've actually recorded some sounds using this for a little project that we did where we were actually recording some of our songs. This is with the band. And I was able to record almost all of the sounds I needed right out of this little unit. So it's really good. For that, I'm super happy with it. Japan has a surprisingly large number of vintage USA-made BC Rich instruments, but I don't know why that's the case. Interesting. I didn't realize that. BC Rich, maybe they just like the style. Maybe it's a Japanese thing. The style on those BC Rich guitars were a little bit wacky, weren't they? So maybe it's just the right amount of like rock, metal, and something unique in terms of the shape of the instruments. Who knows? Yeah, shipping is gonna be insane. That's the thing about dealing with any kind of purchase when it's not in the same country or city that you're in. Sometimes really just the duties, which you never know what they're going to be. It seems like they pull numbers out of their hat because it's always different. And if you ask them to justify why the duties cost so much, they can't. It's weird. They just say, oh, it's we have an algorithm that figures out what the duties are supposed to be. But I've paid, you know, a ton of duties on such a really small, cheap, inexpensive item, and basically almost nothing on something really expensive. So it doesn't make sense. But yeah, oftentimes that's the deal breaker. It's just the duties, shipping duties, and the risk of getting it damaged on the way. So Jeff says, spot on, Tony. Ombre is John Scher's take on the early 60s brown face Fenders. Starts to overdrive at about 3 with humbuckers. It's only 18 to 20 watts, but it's punchy and needs a few dB cut live. Now, does the Ombre have an effects loop in it, or is it a very like simple classic circuit? And does it drive well? Like if you punch it up with some dirt boxes, does it react well? With a name like the Ombre, I'm thinking you're probably getting you're easily getting some ZZ Top tones out of it or something like that. Early ZZ Top maybe. Rico wants to know how my selling experience has been for your home build guitars. I don't really sell them, Rico. I don't sell them because I like them. This is something that I've commented on many times, and I encourage other people to listen to me when I mention if you're going to be building your own guitars and you with the intention of selling them, you're going to be disappointed. Unless you part out your guitars and sell them piece by piece, you're probably not going to get what you put into the guitars. So if that's the intention, is to build your guitars and sell them, I would say save your time and money. Just buy something off the shelf. That being said, I build my guitars and I'm looking for keepers. So when I build a guitar, I try and make it the best I can. And I build it to the specs that I like. And most of the time, very rarely have I sold a guitar that I've built for myself because I like them so much. Right now, in the room here, I have the purple Telecaster. That is a build I made. My butterscotch Telecaster that's in the works that I made. The Kramer Eddie Van Halen striped guitar that you saw me build, that I still have to do a full review on, is mine as well, and I'm loving it. Little work needs to be done on that. And I do have a couple of other guitars that are in the works as well. You saw my EVH Tribute Strat. Well, I'm going to be putting a Vega Trem on that because I like it so much and it plays so well. I figured I'm going to make it even better. That's going to be a keeper. And I have another Strat body and a neck that's in the sidelines that I'm going to be using to build another Strat. Not that I need another Strat, but I'm going to be trying to figure out a way of doing something different with that build. And like I said, I don't build them to sell them. I'm actually also contemplating. I got enough courage out of building the Kramer version of the EVH guitar that I'm considering building a Frankenstrat. Which is, again, a little bit crazy because I don't really need it because the other guitars that I've built sort of also fit that niche where, one pickup, one volume type thing. But I've always wanted to try and build a Frankenstrat more as a replica. And if it doesn't come out good, whatever, I'll just put it on my wall or something like that. But I think I'm going to try it out. And when I get some time, attempt that one and see what happens. It's not as easy as you think, guys. Building a guitar to look like something else is really a challenge. If you set out to build a guitar your own style or design, it's a lot easier because you don't have any roadblocks that will stop you from building it any way you like. So, you're not aiming for something. But when you're trying to reproduce a paint job and specifically like wear and tear on the guitar and things that were not actually done properly, let's face it, the Frankenstrat was exactly that. Was a mess of a guitar that Eddie somehow got to work. But overall, it's not an easy thing to replicate. So should be interesting. It's going to be a cool project. It's funny because Fat Philosopher always says the same thing every Sunday. He says, I actually have a Gibson Les Paul traditional on the way. Probably won't be buying any more Les Paul styles until I see if I want to keep the Gibson or not. Okay, at least this way you're saying until you get to see. So it's not like you're not going to be buying any more Les Pauls. It's going to be until you see if you want to keep that one. Okay, so we'll let that one slide. Because I know if you tell me you're not going to buy any more, that's not true, right? Yeah, Mark, I think my mouse just died on me. Of course. Wonderful. Okay. So Mark says, I have a home build Telecaster I might sell. I guess you can't really sell it for a lot. Mark, My advice, just part it out, buddy. Just sell the parts, sell the necks, sell the tuners, the bridge, the pickups, and the body separately. You end up, you don't end up losing as much if the parts are good. Like I was in the market for a neck. I was having trouble finding a nice maple neck, you know. So there's always buyers for those type of things. Same thing with the bodies. There's always guys trying to build project guitars looking for parts. So do it that way. It'll take a little longer to sell everything, but I think you end up losing less. Thanks, Alan. I didn't see that, but Alan says Toman might have the MG30 bundle in stock for 268 euros. Yeah, then but there's also the shipping and the duties on that. So I don't know if I would try and buy that from Europe. And I think are the European models not going to be configured for a European power? Never tried a Tokai before. They seem like excellent guitars. I recently bought a PRS Zach Myers and I love it. And they are reasonably priced, much cheaper than similar Gibson. How does Tokai compare? Different guitars. I have the Zach Myers too, so I can specifically answer that question. To me, they're two different beasts. The Zach Myers is definitely has a great feeling neck. It's easy to play. You don't feel like you're struggling with the guitar. The comfort factor is a step above the Gibsons or the Tokais. It's a different guitar. It just feels and plays differently. That being said, I still like the Tokai a lot. I would say they're different. They're both excellent guitars, but they're different. It's almost like trying to compare, I don't know, a Tesla with a Porsche or something like that. They're different. They're very different, but they're both very good in their own way. Keith says, have you seen the history of Eddie Van Halen guitars? Just saw it. Tons of pictures from the beginning. I'd love to see that. Where did you, is that on YouTube? If I'm going to be building my Frankenstrat, I'm going to need a lot of reference pictures. And that's one of the hardest things about building any kind of Eddie Van Halen bass guitar. You realize that every single picture that you're looking at is different. They're all different. They've all evolved and morphed over time. And sometimes even the Kramer guitars, you think you're looking at one, but then you realize that's a different guitar. They're all different. So yeah, I need to build up my repertoire of reference shots. Yeah, exactly, Alan. That's what I figured. You'd need to buy a 110 power supply for the MG30. Yeah, that's it. So I think I'm just gonna wait to see if I can get one locally somewhere here. Maybe even used. Who knows? Maybe one will pop up and I'll get lucky. But speaking of Eddie Van Halen, I don't know if you guys know, but Tom Weber was the guitar tech for Eddie Van Halen for a number of years, and he has a video out now. I think it's on YouTube. If you search it, you'll find it, and it's how to set up a Frankenstrat. So I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my to-watch list. I'm curious to see like what he's done to set up a Frankenstrat and maybe some of his tips and maybe some good reference photos will be had in that video. Quicksilver says, I'm going to buy all 4 USA icons. So he's gonna get a Gibson Les Paul 61 SG, Fender American Professional 2, Telecaster, and Strat, and that should be the end of it. No more guitars for a while. Yeah, right. Exactly. You know what, Quicksilver? It's funny, but after a while, like you end up being in a good place, and you end up getting the gear that you actually enjoy playing. You think you never need anything else, but there's always something else that pops up. It's just crazy the way that happens. I guess it's the the commercial aspect of the music industry. They're always trying to tempt us with something else. So never say never, man. I almost pulled the trigger on an Ibanez S series, but the deal fell through. So guys, I think we're going to wrap it up unless you guys have any other last minute questions. We've been, it's 1:20 now. I've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes. So well beyond the 1 hour mark I wanted to go to. Maybe you guys are getting bored. I don't know. Which Frankenstrat are you making? Red, black, white, black, or the yellow? I think I'm going to go with the full black, white, red. I think. I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can get that to work out. Otherwise, maybe I'll just go with the black and white. The thing with the black and white is that you don't necessarily need a Floyd on it, which is good because I don't have another Floyd, a real one. And if I'd make that build, I would like to use a Floyd, which would cost me some extra money. But maybe I'll line one up. Depends on how it turns out. We'll see. But I'm thinking the full Monty. Red, white, and black. We'll see. We'll see once I get closer to lining up all the parts. And at that point, we'll make that decision. Keith says, what's the name? If you don't find it, I will send the link. What's the name of what, Keith? Sorry, I'm behind the 8 ball on that one. I missed what you guys were talking about there. Yeah, I heard about that, Paul. Gibson will be doing a Kirk Hammett epi, plus they have a whole bunch of I think there's going to be the Greenie line that's going to be coming out as well. They're apparently doing a whole line, so we'll see how good those guitars are. I mean, he has a big following, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that are interested in those guitars when they come out. Rico says, what is your advice on making a shiny Telecaster neck easier to play? Sandpaper, steel wool. Yeah, Rico, I did a video on that as well. Go back in my videos, you'll see it. I talked about the road worn aspect and how if you have a sticky neck, specifically a Telecaster, Stratocaster, you can take some sandpaper or the green pads that you can get in the stores and just soften the back of the neck with that, and they do feel a lot less sticky. I've done it on many of my guitars and it worked out really well. I'm a little hesitant to try that on a Gibson Les Paul or PRS, just because I don't want to ruin the potential resale value on those guitars. But on the Strats and stuff, it works out really, really nice. Makes it a lot more comfortable in my opinion. So that's something you can try. But check out the video. You'll see there's a lot of detail on that. Hey, I really appreciate that comment. Thanks for answering my question. I like your channel. I've been watching your videos for a long time. Today's the first and hopefully not the only time I could watch the live show. I appreciate it, buddy. You're always welcome to join in. And that's the reason why we do these live shows, is so that it gives the opportunity for the people watching my posts to ask questions. Sometimes, there's something that I miss in the videos that I could elaborate on, give more information on. Sometimes I get called out because I maybe said something wrong or, said something that wasn't as accurate as I thought it was, or maybe not as clear. And I always answer the questions on my videos as well. So if you can't participate in the live chats on Sundays, that's okay. Just comment on the videos. I usually answer the comments. So if you have something specific about any of my videos, you can do it there. Let's see here. Larry says, how long does this 2-hour show go for? Usually I don't go for 2 hours. Larry, I try and keep my shows to an hour, but often I carry on, you know. Jeff says, spot on there, Tony. I've been gassing for a Pro 2 Jazzmaster. I know I would also want an outboard reverb unit as well, though. It just snowballs, right, Jeff? I mean, you get one thing and then, you know, you spend time and energy and money on something and you want to squeeze out the most tone out of it. And then you realize, oh, you know, now I need another pedal, or now I need a speaker upgrade, or now I need to change the tubes. And it just keeps on going. Yeah, the carnauba wax does a trick. Alan says carnauba wax applied a few times does a trick with sticky necks, better than damaging the finish. The thing with carnauba is that it doesn't last long. It basically wears out, especially if you sweat a lot when you're playing. So it's good to use the carnauba. I actually use the carnauba after. So I just scuff the neck and then use some carnauba wax on that. And that usually works really well as an option. Just be careful with what type of carnauba wax you use, because some of it has silicone in it, and certain guitar finishes don't appreciate silicone. Yeah, John, that's an option too. And that's something that I've considered. So, you know, ongoing product, start out with black and white Fender trim, then make the same changes in chronological order, working towards the final version. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you have to do the steps anyways, right? You gotta paint it black and white first before you put the red in. You have to have the Fender bridge in there first before you put in the Floyd. So yeah, that could be an option. It would give me the opportunity to make it more historically correct and enjoy it along the way. The only issue with that is unless you like to have the red, white, and black version as well as the white and black version. So you have the white and black version as one guitar, that incarnation, and another guitar with the full Monty and the Floyd and everything else. That way you have all of them. But we'll see. This is Lily May. I think you're new to the Sunday chat. I haven't seen your name before. Are the made in Mexico Fender signature guitars higher end components than the Player series, or is the price difference for the signature and relic treatment? Great question. I've seen a lot of components on the Mexican Fenders, tuners and whatnot, appear on some other models that are higher end. But I think now Fender is kind of putting like locking tuners and stuff like that on their higher end models to justify the cost. They're also doing a lot of work within the circuits and adding some functionality that you don't normally get on some of the other ones to justify the costs again. But it doesn't mean that the Mexican stuff is bad. It's just, you know, they're upping the ante a little bit more with the American stuff so they can justify the price. Seth says, Tony, no keyboard player, no problem. Boss SY1 organ or synth tones. Have your bass player use it and it will provide a lot of fullness and get to the mix, allowing the guitars to explore more. Yeah, I've considered that. There's also the pedal from Electro Harmonics that emulates an organ. I thought it was pretty cool. I actually was tempted to get that. But then again, you know, if you're busy playing the keyboard parts, then who's playing the bass parts, right? So it's give and take. I really want to get a keyboard player. I'm going to have to think of something to snag one. That's the name of the video, The History of Eddie Van Halen's Guitar. See if you can find it. Thanks, Keith. Yeah, I can definitely take a look at that. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I know there's some other questions. I did watch the, Rico, I did watch that, the Frankie build. 25 pickups is way too much for one video. At a certain point, you can't even remember what you heard as the first 5 when he gets to the end. It would have been better to break them up into smaller chunks, in my opinion, but it's quite a feat that he did there, and I appreciate the fact that he took the opportunity and the time to try out 25 different pickups. I could have just imagined how long it took for him to install and remove 25 pickups. Interesting. Yeah, definitely. And it's surprising because some of the pickups that I thought would be really great sounding they weren't my favorites. So it's great to be able to see that. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. I love the fact that you guys are joining me on a regular basis. Please keep that up. I do appreciate it. If I missed any of your comments on this live chat, please forgive me, and I'll just ask the question in one of the videos and I'll answer them. Or definitely tune in next Sunday. We'll do this again. I encourage people to watch my shielding pickup guitar video I just put up yesterday. Get more views on that one if you have time. And if there's anything else that I could accommodate in terms of guitar building videos or reviews, please make your suggestions and I will definitely try to get to that. All right, guys, have a wonderful Saturday. I'm still sleeping, guys. Sorry. To me, it's still Saturday. Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a great week. Stay safe. Play your instruments. Enjoy. Crank out as much love and tone that you can out of your guitar and gear. And join me for another live show next Sunday. And please keep a lookout for the videos I'm going to be putting out this week, because the Princeton will be one of them. All right. Talk to you soon, guys. Peace out and lots of love. Talk to you guys soon.